A very good day to you, and welcome back to the show. This is, of course, the Chat Trap on Relax Radio, where we talk to you about all things interesting, a wide variety of things, actually. And we want you to be a part of the show because our goal is to keep you motivated, inspired, informed, and entertained. So make sure that you tune in, make sure that you let us know what you're thinking. 07852 is the number to call me, or make sure that you leave a comment down below as well because we do have a lot of things that we want to share with you. With that being said, I want to remind you also really quick before we get on into the conversation that you can be a part of the show by downloading our app. It's available absolutely free of charge on iOS and Android. So make sure that you download the Relax Radio app on your phone so that you can take us with you wherever it is that you go. With that being said, let's get on into the conversation. I want to give you an update with regards to what is happening in Afghanistan, a roundup, if you will, of every of the latest developments and happenings that is going on in Afghanistan. The situation is getting progressively worse, in my opinion, and I just want to keep you informed so that you can be involved in the monstrosity, the terrible situations that a few of our people are going through. Now, with that being said, if you have anything that you want to add on or share, like I always say, please do feel free to call me up. And since this is happening live, there's an option where you can live chat with me and I can share your thoughts and opinions with everybody out there as well. So if you have something to say with regard to the whole Afghanistan situation, or if you have something to say in general, please do go ahead and let me know. With that being said, let me give you a little update of the latest happenings in Afghanistan. Now, apparently, several rockets have been fired at Kabul airport, but they were, of course, stopped before they're reaching their target. Now, up until now, at least it is not known who fired these rockets, right? But of course, the US had warned that more attacks were likely. Now, the US military, on the other hand, says that it carried out a drone strike to stop a suicide bomber targeting Kabul airport on Sunday. Now, this is very controversial. You probably already heard about this, but everybody's talking about this because they're saying that the drone strike that was carried out by the US military actually ended up killing a lot of the innocent people in Afghanistan. We will talk about that in a second as well, but more of the happenings recently. There are a lot of reports, like I told you, that are emerging that at least 9 civilians died in this US drone strike rather that was carried out by the US. Now, apart from that, the evacuation from Kabul airport has definitely entered its final stage because according to the Taliban, the deadline for evacuations is on the 31st of August, which is Tuesday, which is tomorrow. So the evacuation of the Kabul airport has entered the final stage, but yeah, there's so many more people that do want to get out of the country. Okay, so let's talk about the latest developments with regards to Afghanistan. That was just like highlights as to what's happening. Go ahead and feel free to share your thoughts and opinions with me by commenting or by connecting with me on our social media platforms. Okay, with that being said, let's talk about Afghanistan really quick. Now, apparently the Taliban leader wants to make an appearance to Afghan media. Okay, so if you didn't know, the Taliban supreme commander, I hope I'm saying his name right, it's Hibatullah, and basically he's in the Afghan province of Kandahar, and according to Afghan media at least. Now, the group's spokesman, as in the Taliban spokesperson, said that the supreme leader is actually going to be making a public appearance soon, and Hibatullah is believed to be in his 60s, and he has led the Taliban since 2016 of May, I think, and he's in charge of the political, military, and religious affairs. So it'll be really nice to at least it'll be informative is the word I would use. It would be very informative to hear the the Taliban group, the supreme commander, speak on political, military, and religious affairs. Now, with that being said, I want to say a big hello going out to everybody listening in. Patrick Sam, as always, listening in on Twitch. Thank you so much for being a part of the show. We have a bunch of people listening in on our website as well. Hello going out to every single one of you. I hope you are informed by the conversation that we're having. We also have Mokul listening in. Thank you so much, Mokul, for being a part of the show. It's definitely such a pleasure to have you on board. Going back into the story now. I want to talk to you about how media in Afghanistan in general is changing under the Taliban. Now, after taking control of Afghanistan about 2 weeks ago, the Taliban Accord apparently pledged that there would be no threats against journalists, okay? Because that was a huge issue. Now, I watched videos of journalists speaking up and saying, they're afraid of their life because 10 years back, or rather 20 years back, when Taliban was in power, there was so much criminal activity, I would say, that was carried out against the journalists. So when Taliban came back into power, when Taliban regained power 2 weeks ago, a lot of the journalists were afraid for their lives. But according to the Taliban promised that there would be no threats against journalists. But has this being truthful? Let's find out. Make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relaks Radio, because I want to talk about this a little bit more. Now, according to some media outlets from Afghanistan, I watched a few reports from some Afghan privately owned, privately controlled media organizations or outlets, and apparently women have continued reporting from the capital of Kabul. Okay, but despite this, according to all of these sources, many observers remain skeptical, even though the Taliban pledged that there would be no threats against journalists. They're saying that, there have been changes for some broadcasters, and they have been very stark. And one TV host actually welcomed viewers and addressed the fall of the former president, Ashraf Ghani, and all of the under the watchful gaze of armed Taliban members standing behind him. Now, this went on Twitter as well. It's to me, it's hilarious, to say the least, that they pledged media freedom or whatnot, and then this TV reporter is talking about it, and there's like 2 Taliban soldiers, fully armed Taliban soldiers, standing behind him, which is, I don't know how much freedom that is, but go ahead and share your thoughts and opinions with me. Leave a comment down below. With that being said, we're going to head on off into a little break. When I come back, though, we do have so much more interesting things to talk about, so make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relaks Radio. A very warm welcome back to the show and a very good day to you as well. I am Jamie, and this is, of course, the Chat Trap on Relax Radio, where we talk to you about all things interesting. I want to say a big thank you going out to every single one of you for being a part of the show so far. It's definitely such a pleasure to have you on board. With that being said, we've been talking about Afghanistan so far, and I definitely want to know your thoughts and opinions. I want to know what you're thinking. Do you agree with what's happening? Do you not agree? Go ahead and share your thoughts and opinions with me because it can be beneficial to every other person listening in as well. And we definitely want to know what you're thinking. So 07852473473 is the number to call me. Or if you want to be a part of the show, a much easier way to do so is by leaving a comment down below. All right, let's talk about Afghanistan for a second now. It's definitely something that I want to share with you. So make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio. What is going on in Afghanistan? Now, first of all, we were talking about how the US just carried out, the US military actually carried out a drone strike to stop a suicide bomber targeting the Kabul airport on Sunday. But apparently, because of this drone strike that was carried out by the US military, a lot of reports are emerging that at least 9 civilians died in the strike, which is absolutely scary. I mean, what the heck does that even mean? The US tried to go in and help the situation, but ended up with so many more casualties than planned. So what exactly is going on? It's definitely something that I am going to be talking to you about. So make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio. But before we move on to that, I do want to talk about the whole situation with regards to the media in Afghanistan. You do know that 2 weeks back, and I spoke about this a bit earlier as well. I told you how 2 weeks back, people were really, really afraid because when the Taliban took back power, 2 weeks ago, there was journalists themselves were so scared for their lives. They were so scared to report the events that were happening because the Taliban has had a reputation of being very harsh on journalists. However, when Taliban took power, it pledged rather, saying that there would be no threats against journalists. But yeah, there has been a lot of well, I don't know if they're really standing for their pledge because, like I told you earlier on, one TV host was talking about the whole Ashraf Ghani situation. That was talking about the former president of Afghanistan, that is Ashraf Ghani, and it was crazy because he was said to be speaking freely, but there were two Taliban militants, fully armed Taliban soldiers behind him as he spoke to the community, as he spoke on the media, which to me is just like, how is that even freedom? How is that freedom in the first place is genuinely a question that I have with regards to the Afghan media. But what do you think? Go ahead and let me know. Drop a comment down below. Do you think that the Taliban can be held accountable to everything that they say? Because we spoke about this already, and the Taliban spokesman actually spoke up and said, look, it's not going to be as bad as 20 years ago. There's going to be freedoms that are given to women and children. Women and girls rather are going to be allowed to go to school, but we don't know how far this is true. Now, I want you to share your predictions with me. Do you think that there's going to be any sort of freedom in Afghanistan post Taliban takeover of Afghanistan? With that being said, let's talk about what support is available for Afghan refugees, especially in the UK. Now, if you're living in the UK like me, you do know that there is a lot of support, but what exactly is available for Afghan refugees in the UK? Now, we've seen so many pictures and social media posts in recent days of refugees arriving in the UK on evacuation flights from Afghanistan. Now, arrivals on official flights enter, I think, about a 10-day quarantine period in a hotel, and but what support is there, right? Now, the Afghanistan and the Central Asian Association in West London is a couple miles away from Heathrow Airport, where more than 1,000 refugees have been staying in hotels. And apparently there's volunteers in where they're going to talk to them, and they go and basically be with all of these refugees. Now, okay, after that, again, I want to talk to you about how UK is definitely very skeptical of the Taliban safe passage pledge, according to Minister. And the UK government, of course, says that they're very skeptical of promises made by the Taliban, which I mean, I gotta agree as well. Very, very skeptical of the pledges and the promises made by Taliban, especially with regards to whether it will allow the safe passage of eligible people out of the country. Now, that's definitely something that is very interesting to me. I don't know if the Taliban are actually going to hold up to their promises. The UK government says they are very skeptical about the pledges and the promises that that have been brought out by the by the Taliban rather, and the UK government says that they're very skeptical of these pledges and promises. I want to know what you're thinking. Go ahead and leave a comment down below. Hit the thumbs up button as well. Let me know how your day is going so far, and join on the conversation that we're having. With that being said, we're going to head on off into a little break. When I come back, though, we do have so much more interesting things to talk about, so make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relaks Radio.
We've seen it, right? If an owner of a large public traded company does something wrong, irrelevant of what that company does or how valuable that company is, the stock generally falls into a pool of nothing, right? Because in a public company where the stock is traded openly on the stock exchange, the value of that stock is driven by supply and demand, it's driven by emotion, it's driven by news, it's driven by quite a lot of variables over and above the actual accounting or total net worth of that company.